We go to great pains to make sure that the data that we collect is heavily encrypted and secured between points, meter number and usage, and any alarms that may come up. So if your meter's been tampered with, or if there's a problem with the meter fails to some degree, that kind of information comes back to CPS Energy. We don't know your name. From my perspective, we don't know your name, we don't know your address, we don't know what you're watching on TV, nothing like that. All that information goes back into CPS through multiple firewalls, multiple permissions, and as you said earlier, there are other permissions involved that means that if I'm a meter reader, I can't go in and shut off your electricity just because I don't like you. I have to have permissions to do that through the system. So when I log in, there's only certain things I can do. So Silver Spring has done a great job at that. We've got close to 25 million electric meters installed throughout the world. We do penetration testing. We hire companies outside of Silver Spring to come in and hack, and then we remediate those hacks. We've also got a customer consortium that has their own security group that they go out and they hire their own independent hacking team to do penetration testing. So it's not the fox watching the hen house per se. We get that information back, we immediately remediate, we fix code, send it out to our customers like CPS Energy, push that code down. If it's at the meter, if it's at the access point, if it's at the head-end system, that gets remediated as quickly as possible.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Coming back to the RF radiation and this sort of benign signal that goes out, I have read that it happens in a pulsed format. It's the RF radiation goes out as a pulsed format, and that it can go out upwards of over 100,000 times a day. And although each pulse, each packet of information is very, very short, that in fact the FCC guideline is exceeded when those pulses go out, and the FCC guideline is probably 1 million times higher than it should be based on the effects of RF radiation at the cellular and the subcellular level. So I'd like you to comment on that, please.
So I'm not familiar with the documentation that you're referring to. I'm going to with our team, maybe we can have this discussion at the subject matter expert table. Or do you have the data?
So we did commission have EPRI come out do an RF radiation study. We did have the Electric Power Research Institute commission a study with our smart meters, both in continuous transmission mode. So what they did was they got with the manufacturer and they had these meters and they turned on the transmitter, full power, 24 hours, right? And they tested the RF radiation. And I carry this with me, but if you read the documentation, then you'll see that everything was below the FCC. There's a couple of commissions, a couple of regulatory bodies that kind of provide these limits for the maximum exposure limit. And the one with the lowest was the International Commission of Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection, and it actually shows that it was never exceeded that threshold. But the information is available on the CPS website and the EPRI website.
From what distance was the measurement made? Was it in contact with the meter?
Oh, that's right. So they measured at various distances. One, continuous transmission mode, it was actually in contact with the front faceplate of the meter. And it was, I believe, 25% of the ICI-NRP exposure limit. And then they measured at 3 feet, and it was 13%. And as you know, the further you go away, the lower the power density level from the transmitter is.
Yes, sir.
Is this a one-way system or is it a two-way system? Can you control my meter?
Is it the question is this a one-way system or two-way system?
Can you control my meter?
In situations where a customer doesn't pay?
No?
Yes.
No?
In a good standing customer situation?
Can you control
Absolutely.
my meter? Yes, no.
Can you explain what
It's
you
a simple question. Can you program it?
Can you explain what it means by control? Yeah. And can you clarify what you're trying to say by
Now,
control?
can you reduce my power?
No. No.
If you're having a brownout somewhere and you decide that one way I can level this in a grid is to cut this group Can you do that?
Well, we're a member of ERCOT, the Electric Reliability Council of Texas. In accordance with their standards, if for any reason we start to lose power plants across the state, we have to keep a certain frequency. We, as part of that participant group, have to shed load.
I understand that.
And in that situation, we wouldn't look at meter specific, we'd be looking at circuitry out of substations.
Okay. What's that? Yeah.
The lady, woman in the back hasn't asked a question yet.
In your literature, you talk about prepaid options and fixed billing, et cetera. When I lived in Houston, I had what I felt was an advantage with average billing, which it was averaged over the past year, and I liked that feature very much. Could you explain more about your payment options?
Certainly, so the question is about payment options. So currently, irregardless of your meter type, we do have a budget payment plan, which levelizes your bill the same dollar amount across 12 months. If you used under, then you get a credit. If you used over, then we readjust next year's 12 months to reflect that recoup, plus what we think your usage is going to be. Now, different payment options. We've got a lot of people moving into San Antonio. We're probably installing, last number I heard was around 400, 500 meters a month. It could be a little bit more. So with that, you've got young professionals that are coming in. You've got people that are on fixed incomes. You could put, and I'll use this just as an example, I could put $100 down on my bill, and using the AMI technology, using the O Portal website, you could go down and track. I'm 15 days through the month, and I've got $25 left. Well, okay, can I conserve myself a little bit more, or should I go ahead and make plans to make an additional payment now? Put a little bit more money down. I hope that answered your question, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, in the back.
Good morning, my name is MJ Smith. I'm retired Southwestern Bell, 30 years. My husband worked at Western Electric. And those old rotary phones are going to last till Jesus comes. And I venture to say that there may be some of our Shavano Park residents that still have those rotary phones. And you want to talk about security? There was nothing more secure than an old landline after we got off the party system. Party, what do they call that? Party line. And so, my question is, I understand progress. The only reason we got rid of those rotary phones in the Bell system is for sales. And you went to the Princess phone and all of that, and then touch tone, and I can tell you the whole history. But, and it's the same in phones. We went from rotary, but then we went to the big box cell phone, then the flip phone, then the Android, then the smartphone. Well, there are people that I know that love the flip phone, and they're never going to go to the smartphone. They love it, it works, it's great for their usage. So my position and my question is, why is there, it feels like a shove to me, I'll just use myself as an example, that I feel that I like what I'm using now, my old analog, and I don't want something new. And I don't want to pay for what I don't want. Now, I've been having an electricity bill. I'm 62, so, I don't know, 50, 60 years I've had an electricity bill. And I've been paying the charge for my meter to be read in my electricity bill, along with all the other fees. So, I just wonder, well, my position is, and my question is, that why is it not more easy for people to keep what they like and what they want, more of a capitalistic, if there's two dresses at Macy's and one is on sale and one is the better dress, let the people choose what they want. And I like this more on a personal level because it's also unique to each of our particular uses, especially, even in the electricity model. But I'm just using the phone because you went to the phone earlier. And I think it's a good analogy because it's all about progress. But as I said, why, why isn't it an opt-in rather than an opt-out? Like everybody that wants it, get the form here, sign up, click online, you got it. But the rest of us that don't want it, we're fine where we are, we've been paying our electricity bill. If I got an $8.95 bill, I would be calling you. I know that's not right. I'm on the payment plan, I love it, it's an average, 12 months, it's fabulous. But I think it would be more customer friendly more customer service friendly, which is really a lost art in this age of technology, to really let the people have what they want and pay for what they have and not pay for what they don't have. So has there been any entity, like we're municipal here, Shavano Park City, has there been any municipal or any HOA or anybody that has been able to opt out and have their members not pay the fee? That's my question.
So the question is, has any community or HOA have been able to opt out without the fee? The answer is no.
No individual?
No,
Okay, has it been litigated?
it has not.
Okay, thank you.
But what we'll do is what we do is we follow the PUC's commission, Public Utility Commission's guidelines on the AMI meter is your standard meter. And any deviation from the standard that cost shall be recovered by the customer requesting something different. And that's the personalized $20 per month fee to come out and read your meter and do back office billing specific for that meter.
I think her question was, how much are we paying right now per month already?
It's built into your rate structure.
And so it's how much? What I'm saying is, the $20 is already being paid for us in the rate structure.
No,
Are you going to change the rate structure to reduce our rates because we use that?
No. So let me make sure I have your question correct. Where is I was referring to the meter reading function as it stands today via the AMI technology is built into our rate structure. The deviation from having a customized meter read is not, so that cost must be recovered by an individualized basis. And that's the $20.
Okay, once again, the rate structure today includes the meter reader, your contractors that go out and read the meters. Okay, you're paying them, and it's in the rate structure. So now you're not going to pay them anymore, but you're asking us now to add an additional $20 income to you because you're saving money by not sending meter readers.
Well, there are going to be some efficiencies gained, and what we've done is we've established a team specific to find what those efficiencies are and repurpose those dollars into other areas of the organization so we can maintain our rates as low as possible. We've actually transitioned about 30 meter readers into different positions, probably better positions, and so we are trying to lay off anybody. We're certainly trying to repurpose our meter reading.
So when these smart meters are installed, the rate structure stays the same?
That's correct.
So then we're paying for the meter reader anyway? Whether we go with what we have now, we're paying for the meter reader. Now we got the new smart system, we're still paying for the meter reader, but we don't want it, we gotta pay an extra 20. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
But our meter reading, our fleet of meter readers is down to a handful. So
That's still not answering what I'm concerned about. We're paying for the meter reader now with a certain rate structure. When the new meters come in, that rate structure stays the same. So we're still paying for the meter reader, even though he's not there.
Well, what I said is that we're able to repurpose those dollars back into utilities so we can find other efficiencies.
You just don't know what they
Give
are.
an example of that efficiency that you're trying to establish.
Underperforming circuits, how can we better spend money to get those circuits performing in a more appropriate manner? Our fleet, it's
How about a rebate to your customers?
Pardon me?
How about a rebate to your customers? Would that be more efficient?
Well,
John, can I just add that part of that fee is not just for meter reading, there's still actual billing costs. We still have a team that needs to take that information to bill you. That's still in existence right now. So although you're not physically getting a meter reader out there, you're still getting the information, but there's still a cost to billing those counter. And that's going to stay in the next years.
Mayor, you had a question?
Yeah, I had a question. You said that y'all have not installed analog meters for the last 10 years, which means, I'm assuming that means that everybody has a digital meter, it's just they're not smart meters that talk to each other. What percentage of our citizens in Shavano Park have analog meters? How many of us still have them?
I don't have that number off the top of my head, but I will say that we've got with the 500 or so thousand, 370 some odd thousand electric AMI meters, we also have over 400 and some odd thousand OMR meters, which are digital one-way communicator meters. So the number of analog meters across the entire system are very, very low.
Second question. There are lots of CPS trucks on the street, a lot of those meter readers. We're in ozone non-compliance as an area. How many hours of traffic are y'all going to be taking off the road as this is implemented?
Well, it's quite a few. And actually, looking at it from a global perspective, kind of a service territory perspective, if there's an outage, instead of rolling all our trucks out at once, and let's say you and I share the same transformer, I'm home, you're not. The current system is we come in, I've called in for the outage, you can restore my power, but Marijuana doesn't know his power's out. Those trucks will leave. With the AMI system, those trucks will stay in place, send a signal back to the command center. If Marijuana's system doesn't show like it's pinging back, then we'll transition over to his house. Current system is once we fix this house and he hasn't called in, we'll leave. Well, when he calls back, we'll have to roll everybody back out again. So there's definitely some emission savings there. Emission savings from a standpoint that we'll have less meter readers out in the field, and it just makes better for more efficiency. Yes, ma'am.
Austin Energy up in Austin charges a $10 a month opt-out fee. I was wondering why theirs is half of what you're charging. And then I have a second question. I'll let you answer that first.
So I'm sure there's a logical reason why Austin Energy decided to do theirs. Ours was based on a cost basis. I can't speak to Austin Energy, but we benchmarked ours across the United States and Texas, and we're pretty much in line, if not a little bit lower, with the exception of Austin, but I'm not sure why they did that.
CPS Energy is on record for saying to San Antonio City Council that the $20 opt-out fee was chosen because they felt that that would be high enough, it would keep a lot of people from opting out. That's just a statement. The other question I had, on one of your overheads, you showed the number of people who have established accounts with their smart meters and they've opened a portal account, and the number of times that the portal account has been accessed. Am I remembering that right?
So 107,000 new accounts have been created.
Yes, and how many times have those accounts been accessed? Was that the other piece of information?
I don't think so, but we can go back and look
There
at
were
that
two
in just a
numbers
moment.
side by side.
Right.
And one was about 3 times the other?
Keep going now.
There, yeah, right, you had it.
Right.
Okay, so the accounts created is 107,000. The web logins is, now what time period does that cover?
It says as of the end of last week.
Okay, but it goes back a couple years or just this year?
Since we launched in March of 2015.
Okay, so that tells me that on average, for each account that was created, it's been looked at 2.5 times, roughly. Is that suggesting that there's a tendency for people to be real excited about this new technology, but in practice, once they get over the novelty, they just sort of lose interest? Because that number for logins, web logins, is actually quite low. I would expect that if somebody was actually monitoring their account all the time to reduce their energy consumption, that web logins number would be substantially higher.
So I would anticipate as we continue with our deployment that active participation is going to grow. And in fact, with several focus groups that we did, over 80% of the focus group respondents said they wanted to have access to know how they're using their electricity. And so again, with 776,000 electric customers, we're trying to deliver very diverse programs that allow them the ability to see how they're using electricity.
The data don't support your statement.
We're early in our process, and I think we're ramping up to that.